Alright people, here we are back with Eldritch Horror, Ladies Against the Cold. Turn 2. I had a couple of ideas of what I was going to do, and last night, before I went to bed at 11:30 at night, I had to come back and actually review what I was going to do, because we're in a bit of a pickle. On the one hand, we have a gate in Buenos Aires, which is a blue, well, whatever that constellation is. When we get a doom movement, we will actually get, when we get an omen track movement, the doom will move as well. So actually closing this gate is quite important. Also, it would make it possible for Diane, who's actually only one step away from this, to get one step closer to fulfilling her personal story. We also have our blessed religious nutter up here, who could leap into London and get rid of the Knopfkech. Now, the Knopfkech is not a problem as such for her, because she has a will of 4, plus she has a Holy Cross, which gives her a +2 on this check, and she has and she has 5 strength. So what we could do is we could try and test her influence, which is 2, to gain a weapon, or even failing that, she could just basically, or we could also decide to give her 1 focus action before she travels, to have 1 reroll. And since she's blessed, she might have a chance to take this out in this 1 round, which means we will actually get 1 clue token, which we can put on our mystery, which requires which requires 2 clue tokens. But we also have these 2 down here, and they are actually quite dangerous, because in 3 reckonings, if we don't, we will all lose 6 sanity. So my plan was now to actually get Lola Hayes in Tokyo to do a lot of influence, and also she has a funding condition, so she could take out a bank loan to buy basically the whole array down here, and just basically get all tooled up, go to Shanghai to meet Lily Chen, and then give all of the tools of the trade to Lily, who could then move, who could prepare for travel, and move to whichever, Mumbai probably, and then travel here on the next turn. The problem is, I've discovered that unlike Arkham Horror, trade is actually an action. So Lola Hayes could go to Shanghai and then test her influence. Then Lily could trade with her, but then Lily can move only 1 step. Now, I don't understand why they would turn trade into a complete action on a board where mostly people are not in the same space, and where you can usually only move up to 2 spaces, if at all, whereas in Arkham you can move quite a lot and people are usually much closer together. But at the moment, I'm not going to house rule this, although I find it completely ridiculous, and I may house rule it in later games, but not now. So what we will do is we will go to Lola Hayes first, and she will move to Shanghai, and there she will test her influence and try and get as much stuff as she can. Also get her ally, because then she could fulfill her personal story. So Let's see how this works out for Lola. Lola has an influence of 5, so we're going to roll 5 dice for her. And let's see how this works out. So we're just going to move the dice tower here. Yes. And she rolls 2 successes, which is not really amazing. So she's going to acquire a debt condition, which will be negated by her funding condition, which we now put back. So basically she should take out a debt condition, but she has a funding condition, so we put this back. And she gets 2 additional successes. So we'll just put these all over here. And now we're going to look at the reserve. And she's going to take the expedition guide, which gives her 2 reroll dice if she resolves a observation or a strength test and uses a focus to reroll, which is good. Because her observation is actually only 2, plus she has now fulfilled her personal story. Tread the boards comes into play. So, you know that she needed to find her audience. So, you know, all I really needed was my audience, Lola said to her friend. I've survived bad reviews and cursed plays. I can certainly survive whatever melodrama the mythos can cook up for me. Once per turn, Lola may exhaust this card before making a skill check to receive a +1 bonus to that check. Very good. And this is any check, so she could also use this when she tests her influence. Very good. So she has finished her personal story. So now what she's going to do is, we're going to go back to Asia Pacific. She's now moving to Tokyo. Sorry, to Shanghai. She's already in Tokyo. So there she's now meeting the chosen one, Lily Chen, who is now going to trade. Now Lily has no weapons, but she has a protective amulet, which means that she gets +1 to her will in combat encounters. And she has the lucky rabbit's foot, which means that once per round she may re-roll 1 die when resolving a test. Now she's going to trade with Lola, and Lola is going to give her the Derringer. And this means that she gets, she can add 1. Oh, sorry, Lola was actually going to take 2 things. She was also going to get the Spirit Dagger. Sorry, she has two results left. So this is an item, it's a magical weapon, which gives you +1 to your will checks and +2 strength during a combat encounter. So she also gives this to Lily, who now has a +2 to her strength during combat encounters, a +1 to her will, because she has 2 cards, each one giving her +1, so those are not cumulative. And she can add she can add 1 to 1 die when resolving a strength test, and she also has 1 die that she can re-roll during a test once per round. So now she is really strong. So she's now going to travel to Mumbai. Next up, first we need to refill the reserve. Let's see what we get. Weapons wise, we get an axe, which is an okay weapon, gain +2 to strength tests. And we also get another ally, and that is a cat burglar. Roll 1 die. On a 5 or 6, gain 1 item or trinket asset from the reserve. On a 1, discard this card. Not too bad. So basically as an action. He's also quite cheap. So, let's focus on London. Now, the question is, what are we going to do? Do we want to check if we can get the axe? Well, she already has a magical dagger, so the axe isn't going to make any difference. The cat burglar, well, I don't know. So what she's going to do is she is going to do yoga to get one focus, which will give give her a re-roll. So we're going to do this, and then she's going to travel to London, where she will be ambushed by a Gnof Kech. Now, I don't know how ambush works, if this happens now, but I will just assume that it does. So let's see what happens. We'll just zoom in a little. Actually, we don't really need to zoom in, you can see this perfectly. So, first of all, we need to do a will test. Her will is 4 plus 2, which means she rolls 6 dice, and remember, she is blessed, so she gets a success on a 4, 5 or 6, and she needs to roll 1 success. Oops, that one fell out. So we will actually do this 3, so that is 1 success, which is enough. But we will roll these for argument's sake, and she would have had 2 more successes, so that's fine. She doesn't lose any sanity. Now we need to test strength. Her strength is 3. She gets a +2 on combat encounters, which doesn't really help her because it's negated by the -2. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll 3 dice, and she needs 3 successes. And she gets 1 success, and we are going to spend 2 focus, and we're going to spend 1 focus to re-roll 1 die, which is not a success, and we're going to spend the 2nd focus, and that's also not a success. So what this means is she's going to take 1 damage. So we're going to remove this from her, but she also does 1 damage to the Gnof Kech. So, and unlike Arkham Horror, damage is actually usually stays on the monster. So we just remove 1 of her focus tokens. I didn't use the 2nd one because if we have a reckoning this round, what's going to happen is everybody who doesn't have a focus token to spare will get a hypothermia condition, which we don't really want to happen. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move over to our dear friend, the crazy cultist, who is going to, Diane Stanley, who is going to go into Buenos Aires. Well, first actually she will, no, she can't test her influence, she will move. Will she test her influence? Well, why not? I mean, what has she got to lose? And she fails. Okay, so those are her 2 actions. So what she's now going to do is she's going to have an encounter there. But first we have Lily Hayes, who's Lola Hayes, who is going to have an encounter in Shanghai. So let's see what happens. We're going to draw an encounter card. So from the top of the deck, let's see what we get. Stage magician Zhang Hui Chong. Oh, that's really appropriate. I mean, seeing that she is an actress and he's on the stage too. Offers you a gift. Gain 1 random tome asset from the deck. He asks you to help create a new illusion. So first of all, we get the random tome. The question is, tomes. The question is, where did I put the tomes? Not here, obviously. Here we go. So we went through the pile and we get a medical journal. You may re-roll 1 die when resolving a strength test as part of an illness or injury condition. When you perform a rest action, recover 1 additional health. I mean, this is a serious tome. This is brilliant. This is great. This is a really good tome to have for anyone. She might actually trade it away later, but that's a good tome. I'm happy. That's brilliant. So we're going to give it to Lola, like so. Okay, then let's see what else, because there's also something she must do for him. He asks you to help create a new illusion, law -1. Okay, her law is 2, so she gets 1 die. And she rolls a 4, which is not a success. If you fail, he has a spell. He casts a spell to, oh god, to protect his secrets, gain 1 amnesia condition. Okay, not too bad. So that's what happens, you know. Magicians never ever tell their stories, never ever explain how they do their things. And if they do, and then, you know, you don't help them properly, they will actually have to kill you, or they give you an amnesia condition. Let's see if we find one here. Blessed, cursed, righteous. Nope. Internal injury, dead, blah. Poisoned amnesia, here we go. When you perform a rest action, you may roll 1 die. On a 5 or 6, discard this card. Good. Okay. And she needs to test will on a reckoning, and if she doesn't then fail, and if she fails, then she needs to turn this over. We'll see what happens there. Rightio. Let's see what we can do with all of this. So, okay. Next up, we have Lily Chen, so we don't even have to move. She's in Mumbai, so she's going to have a generic city encounter. Did we shuffle this? No, not yet. So we're just going to take these generic city encounters. And here we go. City. You see a street magician use real magic in his act. Gain 1 glamour spell. Now, glamours apparently are new. They came out with Strange Remnant. So let's see. What have we got here? Oh, here we go. First one. Azure Flame. Each 6 you roll when resolving a strength test during combat encounters counts as 2 successes. Wow. This is brilliant, especially for Lily. So we're going to put this in here. She will have to test law, and she has a +2 to her law anyway. And yeah, so she has 4 law, which is really good anyway. And she can also re-roll. So yeah, that is not too bad. Okay, so she has received a glamour. Brilliant, but that's not where it ends. During his show, he locks you in a safe. Test will -1. Now her will, she is quite strong-willed, so she rolls 2 dice, and she doesn't pass. She fails. So what happens? If you pass, you stay calm and emerge. If you fail, you panic. And you gain a paranoia condition. Now, this is actually important, because if Lily Chen ever has 2 madness conditions or 2 injury conditions at the same time, she will fail her personal story. So she gets a paranoia condition. Let's see, I don't think there were any in here. Blop. Leg injury. Paranoia. Okay. So now okay, now I will have to check what ambush actually means. Okay, let's read the information here. As an encounter, an investigator on a city space containing a clue must confront the Gnovkech that threaten the civilization. A Gnovkech monster ambushes him. If he defeats it, okay. She didn't, so she cannot now look at the clue or anything or do anything else. So she is actually done. And I don't think I should have resolved it when I did. So now we're going to look at our friend Diane Stanley, who is now going to go in Buenos Aires into another world in Buenos Aires. So I'm going to take the other world encounter deck. Oh, that's actually quite big at this stage. Come out. Curses. Well, let's see. I've not shuffled this one yet because we haven't been to another world. Oh, look, there's a Mythos card that shouldn't be in there. So yeah. So I'm going to shuffle the other world encounter deck. Let's just hope that she doesn't have to perform a will check because her will sucks. Okay, so let's see. The Plateau of Leng, which again is really thematic because obviously that's a cold region. A large band of chochos surrounds you. Before they can attack, you remember seeing some black lotus flowers growing nearby. Resolve the pass effect to tell the chochos the location of the rare blooms, or resolve the fade effect to flee from them. They agree to help you if you lead them to the lotus flowers, but some of them are acting shifty. Oh God. Her influence is 2. She needs to test influence. Well, great. So she's going to roll 1 die, and she rolls a 4, which means nothing. So, yeah. Oh. Okay, now she gains a, first of all she gains an illness condition, and now she also has to run, and she has to test will -1. If she passes, she returns to Earth and destroys the portal. No, actually. Okay, and she also gets a hallucination condition. Oh, brilliant. So, she tests will -1. She only has 1 will, but you always get to roll 1 die. So we're going to roll 1 die. And she fails. So this time we are going to spend 1 focus. And she rolls a 2. So probably she's now going to also get a hypothermia condition next round, because obviously that's what happens. So she needs an illness condition and a hallucination condition. So a hallucination and an illness. Injury, pursuit, injury, restriction. What do illnesses look like? Does it say illness on the card? Injury, deal, pursuit, illness. Poisoned. Brilliant. How thematic. Okay.
So the madness she can try and shirk. Illness, when she rests, she has to flip this card. So yeah, I don't even want to know what's happening there. And she did not close the gate either. Actually, the question is, should I spend a clue? Yes, I will spend a clue. This is probably, I should have done that earlier, but of course, oh, now she succeeds, brilliant, yeah. So, yeah, so she at least closes the gate. After all that happened. Brilliant. Okay, at least one thing happened. Alrighty, so now it's time for the mythos phase. And I dread to think what's going to happen. Oh God, it's again a rumor. First of all, we spawn 2 clues. One goes to Arkham, and the other one goes to space 1, which is up there. Northwest of San Francisco. Up there. Okay. Cthulhu is your friend. Mysterious lights. You've never seen the aurora borealis flashing with such intensity. Even south of the Arctic Circle, the air feels alive with alien energies that cannot be dispelled. Gates cannot be closed. As an encounter, an investigator on Space 13 may fly a plane over the Arctic ice to scout for the source of these unusually intense northern lights. If he passes, he catches sight of an unoccupied MyGo outpost and attempts to turn off their bizarre devices. He may spend clues equal to half the investigators to solve this rumor. Now the question is, where is Space 13? 12? 18? Oh, sorry, because they said Antarctica. So we're going to put this up here. Okay. Well, okay, we don't have any gates at the moment, so that's not so bad. But we really need to get a move on. So yeah. So we will have to make a decision what we're going to do next round. So let's zoom out and let's look at what we need to do. Number 1 is this lady here needs to rest, and she needs to try and get rid of, well, she can only get rid of her hallucinations if she runs a if she rolls a 5 or a 6. And if she rests, then the poison will kick in. But I really want to know what the story is there, so we'll just have to do this. So this one here is physically resistant. I mean, she could try and take this one on. Well, no, actually, her will is 1, so that's not going to help her much. She needs help with her will. Lily Chen. Well, basically, our dear friend, the crazy cook, Zoe, is going to stay in London, and she's going to try and get rid of this Knopfkech. That should work. So for her actions, she's going to test her influence. So maybe she can get
well, first she's going to do a focus action. And then she's going to test her will, her influence maybe, to get an ally, the cat burglar, and she can then get one item or one trinket from the reserve. Yeah. Lily Chen is going to will have to save the day. She will do a prepared for travel action, and then she's going to encounter this guy here, magical resistance, so she gets 5 dice. She has an Azure Flame Glamour, and she can add 1 to any die she rolls during combat encounter. She has 4 will, and she can re-roll 1. Yeah. Okay, so she gets 4 will, and she needs to get 3. And she needs to get... So magical resistance means that it's 4, 5. So she gets 5 minus 1, she rolls 4 dice, and she needs 4 successes. Yeah. But she can add a +1 to any die she rolls, to 1 die she rolls, and she can also roll 1 die, and every 6 counts as 2. Yeah, so that's dicey. It's not going to be easy. And our dear friend Lola is going to try her influence to see can she get an axe. And then she's going to prepare for travel and move to Sydney to get this clue. Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Okay, so I will stop now and then I will restart, because I actually feel that this game is progressing really quickly, much more quickly than I expected, and we will be back with turn 3.